This is David Tulis. Thank you for giving me just a couple minutes of time. I think that's all I need. If you don't have time to stay tuned to us here at Nooga Radio, make sure you go to Nooganomics.com, the website for the man who matters. And that is Nooganomics.com that covers the environment, unlike any other media platform in Chattanooga, though the areas of coverage are namely two. It does seem to have a very strong environmentalist and green flavor, even though I'm not a progressive liberal at all. I'm a classical and a classical old-fashioned liberal, which means to say defending the marketplace and having in my mind and wanting you to have in your mind a dislike and distrust of interventions and what's called privilege. The idea of privilege is a grave problem in our time, and what it allows for is people who have connections with the state. They can get away with murder, right? They can get away with all kinds of things, with pollutions and corruptions and abuses and mass thefts. Think about probably a third of the spending of the billions of dollars in Medicare. Corporations living off the system, creating whole markets that feed off of a few lines in the Tennessee, not the Tennessee code, but the U.S. code, and making their livings effectively on fraud and abuse. That's the whole problem of privilege in our day. The more government you have, the more privilege you have, the more escape you have from personal liability, and the more you have an onloading of private profit and offloading by business, and offloading of risk. Risk is socialized and profit is privatized in our day. That is a grievance that even sometimes Bernie Sanders describes accurately, and the Republicans generally don't describe that very accurately. And so this is David Tulis, nonpartisan critic of both camps, and concerned about our system of government today, and also what we see in sort of feckless and careless giving over of legal liability to the public, not willing to assume it yourself, but offloading that onto the public. And here's an example in Hixson, Tennessee, here in Chattanooga, of this very danger, and it comes from the acme of the industrial era in the United States, and that is World War II, when we became a world power. Our factories churning out Sherman tanks, jets, battleships, submarines, munitions by the millions of tons. Even we had TNT plant here in Chattanooga, and at the end of that war, there was a new development in the sciences, and that is, let us use an industrial waste to help children have strong teeth, and that is called the fluoridation project that began, I believe, in 1947. Not around here, but this industrial cancer affected probably half the water systems in the country, and there is a growing movement against it. Now, we have here in the studio a young man named Heath Marter. He lives in Hixson. He's a musician, and he's gotten into great concern about the water quality here in Hixson. Water put into your noodles and into your water bottle by Hixson Utility District. He's 29 years old and is offering free tests of water in your business or your house. He's trying to make a point. This is a dad of two sons, ages 4 and 8, and he's the founder of Save Chattanooga. Before we came into our secret room here where we get on the air with you, he was in our kitchenette making a test of the water. Well, first of all, Keith, we want to hear about that, and what we want to show our viewer on Facebook and on YouTube what you've done. But what is your concern about, and what is Save Chat? Why does Save Chattanooga have such a dramatic name? What are you trying to save, and whom are you trying to save?
Well, I have many of the same views as you do, David. I personally believe as well government corruption is a problem. People being liable. Just reiterating what you said at the beginning of this. Save Chattanooga is a human rights interest group. So when choosing to focus on one topic, because we can't save the world all at one time, just one small group, we could not find anything more relevant and that had an impact on us, such as the water quality. So that's why we're doing that. We've tested about 60 homes in the Chattanooga area so far. We are getting some very interesting results that we're going to be sharing with you today as we go over the results of the water test here at the Nooga radio station.
Go ahead.
Okay. So I'll just go right into it. We test for water hardness. We'll go over that first. Water hardness is minerals, metals, rocks in the water, basically anything hard. We've tested at 6 parts per million here at your office, David. Just so the listener has an idea, most people don't understand hardness that well. 1 grain per gallon of hardness is equivalent to 15 pounds of rock and debris that pass through your house every year. So if you've ever opened up a pipe or seen the inside of a water heater, that is the water hardness building up there.
And that's rock and metals.
Rock, metals, and mineral. Yes, that is correct.
And run that figure by me again. You're saying the listener's house passes through its system 15 pounds of that a year?
Rock and debris, yes, sir. For each grain per gallon, and this fluctuates.
And that's if you have 1 grain.
Yeah, and you have 6. So if we do the math on that, you've got 90 pounds coming through your shop here, which is why the water, you can actually see the hardness in it. If you put some hot water in a cup, you can see all the stuff floating around in there. So, and as a visual, as far as the people on the watching, this is a standard precipitation test. It's done in high schools and colleges throughout the country. This is a visual on the water. Now, the listener on the radio can't see this. What I have here is 2 vials.
I'm holding up 1 vial here. It's a small bottle with a black top and a piece of red tape on it. I guess for a marking for your own peace of mind. What am I holding here, Heath?
You're holding Hixson's tap water. The substance you see floating around in there is the water hardness. Like I said, a precipitation test. Yeah, this stuff at the bottom here. It's the water hardness appears to be about a little less than 1/10 of the water to me. What about you, David?
Well, I'm not quite. Well, first of all, why is the water yellow like this? And why are these little granules, this little powder at the bottom of this jar?
Good question.
Why are they floating around?
Good question. Yes. The precip test, what we do, the first chemical we add is the amber dye tint, which explains the color that makes it where you can see the water. The second agent is a precipitating agent, which latches onto any hardness and has it fall to the bottom, as you see there. So this is just basically what the hardness is, a visualization.
Okay, so you're changing the water slightly so that you can see the hardness. Now, again, we're not saying the hardness is bad. We're just saying that that's what comes out of the aquifer under the earth here in North Chattanooga.
Which is a lot of potassium, magnesium, minerals. It picks up some hardness coming through the water filtration plant, running through the limestone, and obviously, metals and things of that nature. So you can see how it affects your house. It comes out on your pipes, appliances, water fixtures, and as far as how it affects the human body, I'm sure you can imagine rocks are a big cause for kidney stones, could potentially clog up arteries and things of that nature.
Again, those are just naturally occurring. No one's faulting this at all. But the reason you're doing this, Heath Marter of Save Chattanooga, why is this important for your experiment with people you're visiting, and also with my viewer? Why is this important?
Well, this is
extremely
important due to the fact that people are just unaware on how hardness actually affects them. Any deposits that's left behind on your glasses that you can't get off, soap scum that builds up in your shower, deposits that are left on your sink sprayer heads. This is the hardness in the water, and that's how it affects you. See it every day. Without the water being hard, it's much easier to get things clean. In fact, you can get things clean relatively, for speaking, without even using soap. You could get something 10 times cleaner. Now, with soft water, you can clean 10 times better than with hard water. In fact, you can't get something fully clean.
Okay, the water's soft if there are fewer minerals, and hard if there are more.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, now I'm holding, this is David Tulis. We're talking with Heath Marter of Save Chattanooga, and I'm holding a second bottle here. Now, this, again, it's the same size bottle. It's about 3 inches tall, a black cap on it, and it looks like I'm holding a bottle of urine, but it's not warm as a bottle of urine would be. It's just regular water, and you've got a piece of blue tape around here. Now, what does the tape say to you, and why am I holding this bottle?
That's just to help me remember that it's the treated water. That is water that's been ran through a water softener, which obviously we can see it's soft. Other water that we can find that's soft is distilled water, or the rainwater. Is also soft. So you can do this test on any of those and get the same result.
Most people don't know about water softeners. Is that a machine you have on your faucet, or how do you get that?
It's a typical whole house water filtration system. So what they do in specific, the actual water softener beads, is they do remove hardness just as advertised.
And they have to be cleaned out periodically because
yeah,
they
you're
clog
like
up.
water softener, salts through them. They do have to be cleaned periodically, but certain brands will last a lifetime.
Okay, so this is this bit of cool water came from the tap here at the studio. Is that right?
That's correct. No, yeah, from the studio.
And
that's just been filtered.
And so you filtered the bottle of water here. And the point you're making, again, I'm holding up 2 bottles. The point you're making is that one has a lot of metals and pieces of stone and grit in it, and the other one doesn't. What's the point? Why? These are 2 bottles here. Before our Facebook viewer, by the way, Facebook on Nooga Radio and on YouTube at Hot News Talk Radio. What's the point, Heath Marter? What are we seeing here? Who cares? What's this about?
I mean, what it is about, like, again, it's a lot of metals in the water. You don't want any metals in your body. It just affects us in a bunch of ways that we are aware of. Hard water cannot rinse off your clothes in the dryer. It can't get all the detergents out of your clothes. It can't get your skin all the way clean. It clogs up your pores. It does a various amount of things, and we'll touch back onto this subject as we're going through the test. It'll make more sense. So I did a standard chlorine and pH test. Nothing to highlight there. Chlorine comes out different depending on the time of day. And it's always within EPA regulations between 1 and 4. So what chlorine is to the listener, if you don't know the definition, it's a poisonous yellowish green gas. It's heavier than air, and it's added to disinfect the water. So that's why I said it definitely is necessary. If it wasn't there, it'd be nearly the equivalent of drinking water straight out of the Tennessee. pH is always about the same. David, what I did find interesting here at your office is we did test high for heavy metals. Can you hold this up to the viewer? That way they can see the testing bottle that we're using.
Now, this bottle contains what, those little strips?
Yes, sir. This measures heavy metals in parts per billion. You can see the highest reading on here is 1,000 parts per billion.
The darkest red circle.
Correct. Yes. So
that's how you read the code on the strip, right? The strip comes out with a dot on it, and you measure the dot redness compared to what's on the bottle, which is your sign, kind of your way of interpreting it.
Yes, that is correct. And just so the listener has an idea of the studies I've done, I've tested rainwater, has 0 metals. I've tested the top of the Tennessee River water, it has 0 metals. A lot of tests come back between 20 and 50. Over half the tests I've tested go over 200, and this is what you've tested here, Mr. Tulis. And you can see we're between 400 and 1,000 parts per billion on heavy metals. So if it's not
parts per billion,
that is
parts
correct.
Per million.
It's parts per billion. So 1,000 is as high as this reader goes, David, and you're almost up to 1,000 here. Like I said, you don't want any metal in your water. Going back, I tested the top of the Tennessee River water, and there's no metals. So what that tells us is, one, we're either adding some at the water treatment plant, which we know there's some metal in the hydrofluorosilicic acid, but more likely is it's picking up metals coming through the city water pipes and or residential household pipes.
So again, we have a view here of Hixson Utility District, and we're saying these are things that are not blamable at all to that district, right? It's a government, it's a kind of quasi-governmental entity. It's subject to government. It has government authority, but it is still a company that has that public service duty. It has a very limited duty as a public service entity, and that what we're pointing out here is not blamable to it.
Correct. Yeah, it's not blamable to it, but if I'm pulling these readings, I'm sure they are aware of them, and it's just it's a lot of metal in the water is what it boils down to. So what I'm trying to do in more detailed studies in our area is, for instance, I've tested your office here at over 400 parts per billion. If I tested, for instance, the neighboring office, and it tested about the same as yours, and then I tested another one, and they're all about the same, we could kind of determine whether or not it's the individual pipes of a building or more likely to be coming from the city source. Does that make sense? Okay, so moving on past that right there, the most interesting results we found has been with this TDS reader. For the listener, TDS stands for Total Dissolved Solids, simply meaning anything that's dissolved in your water that you can't see that's been bleached out. This TDS reader will pick it up. So some interesting studies. The Tennessee River water averaged 90 TDS, just to kind of give the viewer and the listener an idea. I made some interesting discoveries when I tested rainwater, as it was between 2 and 12 parts per million. So the rainwater is really clean compared to our tap water here at your office, for instance, this morning. When I ran cold water, you're at 121 parts per million.
I'm confused on billion and million.
Metals are tested generally in parts per billion. And then total dissolved solids, chlorine, etc., is generally measured in parts per million. Yes. So out of the 121 parts per million, 2 of that in your office was chlorine that I picked up. So if you turn the water on hot at your house and measure the total dissolved solids, it goes up drastically. It goes all the way up to 172 parts per million here. So that was an interesting thing that we've been finding.
What I'm not quite catching. You're saying when you ran the hot water in our sink here in Hixson, in our studio, you had 170 parts per million of solids.
That is correct, as opposed to 120 cold. So the question is where is that coming from? The water comes from the same source. The only thing that I've been able to come up with, which makes sense to me, it's obviously coming from the hot water heater. And that's where it references to this hardness right here. If you ever break open a hot water heater, there's tons of hardness inside of it. There's a bunch of junk in there. And in my opinion, that's where the excess of hardness comes from when you turn on your hot water.
This is David Tulis, and we did email Greg Butler, the manager of Hixson Utility District, inviting him to come on the show today, either calling in now, or I said, Greg, you may please come by the studio, and since you're just down the street from us, and give me some time, and give my listeners some time after Heath Marter has gone. And I've not gotten back from him, and I have, but we are extending to him and any member of the three-member board of Hixson Utility District to talk about the fluoride question. Now, there's more Heath Marter, and tell me something about there's some remarkable language on a water quality report from the district. What does it say?
Yeah, just a couple of things to point out. Is due to our efforts last year, they now properly label our fluoride, which can be found by Googling your 2016 water quality reports in Chattanooga or Tennessee. It's now labeled properly as the discharge from the fertilizer and aluminum factories, which is in fact what it is. And we have if you type in the National Science Foundation fact sheet for hydrofluorosilicic acid, we found the report that we've been trying to get HUD to give us. We asked them to give us a report with a chemical breakdown and toxicological studies, which they have been able to provide, which now is available right on the front page of Google. If you just Google NSF hydrofluorosilicic acid, you can see the breakdown and how much arsenic it does contain, which is the main focus of our fight here.
So arsenic is the ingredient in hydrofluorosilicic acid that is the most injurious to the listeners' health and that of the children.
Yeah, if you look it up, arsenic is one of the most toxic substances in the world to a human. Overcome by very few. Right behind arsenic on the toxicity scale is fluoride itself, which is above mercury. If you go to look this up, so this is some very toxic stuff we're talking about. Even in small doses, I've never asked anybody if they wanted arsenic added to their water and get a yes.
Well, again, the language is discharged from fertilizer and aluminum factories. That's what's being put in the water in Hixson Utility District, and I would say any other district or company that fluoridates the water. You have this in the water. So what else do you want to mention?
Just to wrap it up, just kind of just a lot of people don't look at this right here. This kind of what got me going. There's a warning label on all the new water reports that are out. Under Hixson says, do I need to take special precautions? David, can you read that to us real quick? You got a better voice.
It says some people may be more vulnerable to contaminants in drinking water than the general population. Immunocompromised persons such as patients with cancer who are undergoing chemotherapy, people who have undergone organ transplants, those with HIV, AIDS, or other immune system disorders. The list goes on. Or some elderly people and infants may be particularly at risk from infections. These people should seek advice from their healthcare providers. about not only their drinking water but food preparation and so on. So that what we have here is, I guess, a legally tenable, legally maybe required commentary warning. Heath Marter, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having us on the show, David.
What's the website?
The website is Save Chattanooga.
Save Chattanooga Facebook.
Yeah.
This is David Tulis, and we are the media platform that's covered this issue. It is a real issue, and you, my listeners, should care about clean water. And there's a website. I'll be posting a story later today about where you can send a comment to Hixson Utility District. There's a board meeting Friday at 4 o'clock Friday, just a couple days away here in Hixson.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240.